The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Ardor SEO.
Welcome to Icons of Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Pardee Teal. Our icon today is Kerry Ann Sullivan with Pardee Properties. An East Coast transplant, Kerry is now happily rooted in Venice Beach, California. With a BA in history, Kerry's passion for community and history made real estate a natural progression. She's been known to say every house tells a story. And so her lifelong love of looking at houses became her dream job. And she's been very, very successful. She has more than 532 million in sales to date. And she's been featured many times in the Los Angeles Business Journal. Welcome, Kerry Ann.
Hi, thank you for having me today. Nice to see you.
Thank you so much for being on Icons of Real Estate. I really appreciate it. So usually where we start is with your journey into real estate. So if you wouldn't mind, when did you know you wanted to go into this field? Just take us through the twists and turns and how you ended up where you are today.
Sure. It wasn't something that I ever thought I would, growing up, I wasn't like, I want to get into real estate. I don't think it was really made known to me about it. How I got my job and started working for Pardee Properties was actually by accident. Tammy Pardee, who's the owner of the company and is a friend of mine, and we have mutual friends. So we started talking one day, socially, and she's like, wait, you do that? Wait, you need to come work for me. And so before you know it, I started working with her at Pardee Properties, and I started from the ground up. I started doing showings, putting out signs, answering the phones, and just learned every step along the way, including one of the things that I would always do is listen to Tammy when she'd talk to clients or other agents, and just in her verbiage that she would use and what she would say and how she would say things. And so I just absorbed everything. Prior to real estate, I was in the restaurant business, in the fitness industry, and both of them, are sales and service oriented. And so I've always had a background in sales and always in a background in service. And those fit very well into real estate as well. Now I get to sell really beautiful homes as opposed to food and yoga packages.
That makes perfect sense. Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny how sometimes in our lives we do so many different things, and then we get to where we want to be, and you realize that all the things you did along the way really were very, very helpful.
I will tell you, I think restaurant experience for anybody is a really great experience to have, just to get by in life. And honestly, I use my skills from the restaurant industry, from being able to prioritize, being able to delegate when you need to, and being able to smile even when there's something going on in the kitchen. And all of those skills I use to this day.
Wow, what a great observation.
Yeah.
So all you people that are working in restaurants, you can go into real estate and use those skills in the future.
Yes.
So one of the things, Kerry Ann, that you mentioned you wanted to talk about was big picture thinking. So I'm not sure what you mean by that, looking at the big overall picture, but I want to hear from you.
Sure, thank you. I see a lot in my deals with buyers, with sellers, with other agents, that people get tripped up on sometimes some of these small details in a transaction. And, whether it be, it's sometimes I've had clients that will be like, the seller typically pays for the home warranty in in Southern California in our area. And so I've had sellers be like, well, I don't want to pay for a home warranty that's more than $750. And maybe what written into the offer was like a $900. So I'm like, let's not get caught up in $150 because we're trying to get $2 million upset. And so I see that a lot. And, you know, that's just one example of it. I'll see it in requests for repairs. I see it in, you know, sometimes with when the buyer wants to have access. And recently, you know, and so whenever I see that there's a problem, or I have a client that's just not happy or uncomfortable with something, I try to zoom out and look at what's going on with the big picture of the scenario. And so what I've noticed a lot of recently is, you know, I, as the agent, have met the buyer and the buyer's agent. So I have a relationship with them. I have faces to put to them. I know their story. I've talked to them when I've shown them their house that now we're in escrow on. But the sellers have kind of been kept away from that, right? They only know them through the contract.
Right.
And so then sometimes when, you know, they ask for something that might be a little bit out of the ordinary, or they think it's out of the ordinary for a request as far as an access or as far as an inspection, they start to come up with a story in their head, and they have this create this whole story about somebody that they don't even know. And so whenever something like that happens, I zoom out and I say, okay, so what's going on here? How can we address this big picture? And so sometimes it's literally just, you know, asking for a different explanation from the buyer, or getting something more out of the seller of why this is weird for them. And so it's just looking at things, not always just how things usually typically are, which sometimes you have agents that work that way. And whenever I start any deal, whenever I go into escrow, I call the other agent and I say, thank you for showing this house, and thank you for bringing your client to it, and for going into escrow. I want you to know that we are on the same team. We both want the same goal here. My clients want to sell the house, your buyers want to buy that, and we both want to get this deal done. And so I want you to know that all of this is an open communication, and that we need to do this together. And I found that having that approach of being just very transparent and front loading has really helped with getting deals progress. And sometimes I have agents that, you know, maybe they have a personal connection to the buyer, or they've been dealing with them, they've had a bad experience someplace. So sometimes I have to say, okay, let's zoom out. What's the big picture here? The big picture here is to close this deal. So how are we going to do that? And so I find that the zooming out and taking a step back and not being as in it in the emotional aspect of it has been really helpful.
I just love that, Kerry Ann. And, you know, one time we bid on a house. I was in Montecito, California at the time. And I can't remember now whether my husband had the brilliant idea that they needed to include the washer and dryer or, or the refrigerator. But we lost the house. Somebody else came in, and it was such a silly thing, you know, on this. And I still regret it.
I'll tell you what, and it's funny how sometimes it'll be like 3 deals in a row. I'm like, why are we talking about washers and dryers? And you have like a seller, sometimes they have such an emotional attachment to their washer and dryer. And like, what?
I know. Big picture, big picture.
Big picture. You can get it from Best Buy and they'll deliver it.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Big picture.
Yeah. I know that you are working in some really unique areas. I only know because I spent most of my adult life in Santa Barbara. So we would go down to Santa Monica. At one point, we had a boat in Marina del Rey, and then Venice Beach. What I remember from it, and it's probably changed a lot, was vendors selling things outside. They had a big arts and crafts. So tell us a little bit about the areas you represent. I know you probably can't talk about all of them, their uniqueness, and why people want to live there.
Yeah, well, I mean, what drew me to Los Angeles was, number one, the weather. I grew up on the East Coast, so I never was told that you're allowed to have nice weather all the time, and how nice it would be into your quality of life. And so the weather drew me out here, and you know, the community has definitely kept me here. And you know, Los Angeles is a very unique city in the fact that we're actually spread out. So there's lots of different neighborhoods within, which I really, really like. And I primarily work on the west side of Los Angeles, which is the side closest to the beach. And so, it'll go all up and down the coastline there. And I do business and work in other communities as well. But it's interesting because the people that are drawn to the west side of Los Angeles tend to also be a lot of transplants from other areas that want to be by the beach if you're going to live in Los Angeles. And, we've also over the past probably decade have really started to have a lot of startup companies and tech companies put their businesses here on the west side. So we get a lot of tech people that start to live here. And it's definitely, we have people in the entertainment business as well, but the west side is unique. It's not like what people see in the movies and on TV of what they think LA is, like what Beverly Hills is or Hollywood. We're definitely have more of that beach community feel to it. And Venice, where our main office is located, and where we kind of started and then spread out from there, is a really, really cool, eclectic, artistic community. And what I love about Venice is that, you have people that are from, might have lived in a house for 3 generations. And then you have somebody that maybe just is in the entertainment industry. And then maybe you have somebody who's an architect. And then maybe you have somebody who's a sculptor. And what I really also like about Venice and the west side is that nobody cares who you are. Like there's not that, again, like there's a stereotype that people see, and I don't feel that where I live.
Right.
And which is really nice. And people
That is
love,
nice.
and people love the outdoor lifestyle. And so, the closer you get to the beach, the smaller lots you have. So these houses don't have huge sprawling yards. And so, but really your outdoors is like going to the beach. And like you said, going along Venice Beach Boardwalk and going to the outdoor vendors, going to the marina and going out on a boat, So, each community has maybe a few nuances to them, but it's in general, like it's more of a lifestyle that people really appreciate and why they want to live here.
I understand. So you're glad you left the East Coast and came to the West Coast, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, there are elements of the East Coast that I miss, and definitely it's family and friends that live there, but I have wonderful family and friends here. The team that I work with at Pardee Properties, Tammy has created this culture that is very boutique, very family oriented, and we are a work family. Like we hang out with each other and we communicate with each other, and it's really nice to have when you're in sometimes some really stressful deals, it's really nice to be able to bounce ideas off of other people that have also been through similar situations. And so it's a great work community as well as a community to live in as well.
Oh, that's so nice. Yes. And now, a few minutes earlier, you mentioned that a lot of the people that come to the area are transplants. So are they coming from other states, out of the country, or just from all over?
Yes, we get a lot of New Yorkers and people from San Francisco and Seattle that are attracted to the west side, especially like Venice, that has that feel. That city has a very small urban feel to it. And then we get Europeans. We have a big South African community here because it's great surfing in Venice. So we definitely have that. And then Marina del Rey has, there's the boating community there as well. So that's a little bit more moving.
Oh, it sounds very, very fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you reach out to these people? Because they're coming from all over. How do they find you?
A lot of it is, word of mouth and brand recognition and referrals by other clients who've had great experiences with us and with me. And then we also, the way our brokerage is set up is that we have a large portion of the listings in the area. And so that helps with our brand recognition with our signs all over town. So people see that. And then, we definitely have a strong online presence as well. And so, when people are looking from, New York, they'll be looking at, like we saw it a lot during COVID, especially in the beginning, when everyone was online, stalking properties because they had nothing else to do. And we had already had the Matterport 3D videos out at that time. So all of our properties that had 3D Matterport videos were getting a lot of traction because people were, touring through these houses. And so, the fact that we have such a strong online presence and we make such an effort to present our homes in the best possible way so that they go for a look that is attractive to people.
Yeah, great answer. So I know things were kind of strange these last couple of years. At the beginning of COVID, prices, I think, plummeted in Los Angeles. People were moving out, but it's fully recovered, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We noticed in the first, 3 weeks when there was so much uncertainty, we weren't sure what was going to happen. But then once we had a month under our belt, anybody who was new to the market then, or by selling or buying, they had the information of what was going on. It was the people that had their houses on the market in February and then March happened. And then, there's all that uncertainty that went with it. And so it was, a different changing market. And yeah, the market has just skyrocketed since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has it slowed down a little in the last couple of months?
Yes, since they've announced raising the interest rates, yes, we've noticed a slowing down of the market. Part of it is fatigue from buyers having, a really stressful February, March, and April with multiple offers on all of the properties.
Sure, yeah.
So there was some of that. There's some of the uncertainty of interest rates going up, and the stock market has been fluctuating as well. And so that definitely has affected a lot of our buyers and their buying power. And so what we're seeing is, I'm not seeing, a halt in the market. It's, it's just a slowing down. Everybody's taking their time. Right. Instead of before, they were just rushed into writing an offer after seeing a house for 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was going on in multiple offers.
Yeah.
That must have been a crazy time.
It was a lot, and it's a lot to manage, on the listing side too, because, it's, I had one property that had 31 offers on it. And,
goodness.
To think of, and like the house was just this beautiful house. And I remember being at the open house and everyone just fell in love with the house. And, to know that, 30 people aren't going to get that house.
Oh,
it doesn't feel good to have to tell that many people no.
No. Gosh, when you have 31 offers, do you present them all, or do you take the top 5? What do you do?
Yeah, I always present every single offer to my sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unless they've instructed me otherwise, which I typically don't recommend for them to do so. I like to always present everything. And, for a few reasons, I counter everybody, all the offers. The reasons are, one is I want to give everybody a chance, because some people don't realize, how much they're in love with the house until they start this process. Some people, I also want to give everybody the opportunity. And then I also do it as well for relationships, in this market, when the market is so competitive, I want to give all of these agents the opportunity to be able to talk to their buyers and give them the opportunity to come up in price, or whatever terms it is. Some clients don't choose not to counter everybody, but my advice always is it's my job to write counter offers. So, it's.
Well, I'm sure it's a tremendous amount of paperwork, but I'm really so glad that you do it. It can't feel very good to people who really want a property and know that it wasn't even presented. And I think some realtors don't present all the offers. Yeah,
and it's not, you never know what kind of advice they're getting and who they're getting the advice from. So I want to do my job to be able to get it out there. And so then if they can choose to do what they want to do with it when it comes back to them. By all means, I have an amazing team that I work with. So they help and they're so organized. So that is very helpful to this whole process. That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I've by all means done it before as well, where I've, written all the counter offers, but I have a team that just have it dialed.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah.
They're so experienced.
Yeah. So how many are on your team?
I have 3 listing coordinators and I have a showing agent that are on my team. And Tammy has a team as well. And so we all collaborate together and we help each other out and work with each other as well.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sure everybody on your team has their various strengths. So
Yes.
I know you're super articulate and you see the big picture. I think the big picture is huge. I'm so glad that
Mhm.
you are able to do that, to zoom out. What do you feel are your super strengths?
I think as far as a leader on the team, I'm able to as well zoom out and take the information that's given in, come up with a solution with my team and strategize with them, and then also to delegate. I also know that, not that I can't not schedule showings. Of course, I know how to schedule a showing and know how to do it. But I know that if I get caught up doing that, then I'm caught up in a different mindset. So I'm glued to my computer. I'm not able to answer phone calls and I get distracted and then I miss something. And so my strengths are knowing what my weaknesses are and being able to delegate them to people who are better equipped at them than I am. And then that frees up my mind. Honestly, like I can see the difference in being able to think of we have problems that are given to us all the time. And so, I like to spend 17 seconds on the problem and then the rest of the time on the solution. And that allows more outside of the box thinking like, okay, how are we going to get this done? This is what our goal is. How can we get there? And I have no problem asking other people for help, asking other people for advice. There's no ego in it that I need to be the savior or anything like that. My goal is to sell the property. If my goal is to sell the property, that's what I need to do. And so being able to help and, elicit help from other people is also very helpful. And I think that's a strength because I think some people think they have to do it all on their own or can't rely on others and, experience and, and I have a lot of experience. I've sold a lot of property. I've done a lot of deals. I've seen a lot of things happen, but honestly, something new can happen. Last week I had 2 new things happen. There's always things that, I'm sure in your experience as well, you always can see something. In the past 2 years have definitely shown us, new things that can happen. And so it's being able to strategize, work with somebody else, collaborate, and, move forward, come up with a solution.
Wow, those are really great traits. And I'm going to write that down and put it on my refrigerator or something. 17 seconds on the problem and the
Yes.
rest on the solution, because I think in every area of life, you can just kind of start ruminating on the problem instead
Totally.
of
And that's
going
not my own. That's borrowed from Abraham
Okay.
Hicks, who's a
Oh, I
huge,
love Abraham Hicks. Yes.
right? Yep. All about the law of attraction. And I
Uh-huh.
definitely love to study that and pay attention to it. And my team actually does as well. And we've attracted a really wonderful team, and we manifest our deals and our clients, and it's for the most part, it is a very easy and elegant job to have.
Oh, how wonderful that the whole team is on board with positive thinking. Yeah, that's
Yes.
wonderful. Yes. So I noticed that your company has something, the Pardee Prep Service for sellers.
Mhm.
Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Sure. It's really important in this market to present the home in the best possible way. And I will say that the past 2 years has even more so highlighted how important the presentation of your home is. And I call it the Instagram effect. Everyone expects every house they walk into to look just like Instagram. And they're looking at designers, they're looking at homes, and they're looking at all of that. And, I also highly recommend, staging. I highly recommend, if you're going to be living in the house as a seller, to depersonalize as much as possible. And everyone will say to me, but can't they see beyond that? Can't they see that they can just paint the walls? Yeah, people know that, but most people cannot. And it's not worth it for your one opportunity to grab a buyer to have the house not be presented in its best possible way. So it's interesting that it can be really anxiety provoking for a lot of people to be able to do all this because they don't know where to begin. And I call it my listing appointment eyes. I have friends who will be like, can you come over and do a listing appointment? My in-laws are coming into town this weekend. And they're like, sure, I
Right.
can come over and tell you
Mhm.
what to declutter and what needs to be fixed. And so, my eyes are trained to go where buyers' eyes will land. And so what
Oh.
I'll do is I'll walk through with the sellers and I'll say,
Mhm.
this is what I recommend. Sometimes, they have ideas and I might say that might not be cost effective. And so, or let's get quotes and see what it is. And so with that, it's, some people call it a concierge service. I just call it good old fashioned help. I get everybody, get all the vendors in and get quotes and then help line everything up for them, because it can be very overwhelming. And for me and my team, it's very easy for us to do because we're such a well-oiled machine that we're able to coordinate all that and schedule it.
Oh, that's great. And it's so important. And especially now more than ever. Before, people were buying anything. Well, but now they have a chance to be a little pickier. So it's very, very
Exactly.
important. Right.
Yes.
Right. So what are your upcoming goals for the rest of the year in your business?
It's a good question. I think, my team and I, we sit down, on a probably bi-yearly basis, because things change as the year goes on, as to what our goals are. And for us, we really work on having a nice flow and to be creative with it, with our flow with each other. We work to have all of our deals and transactions be, elegant and easy. And with that, it's really important for me to be able to help my clients to use some of the Abraham Hicks verbiage to help them manifest what they want and to empower them to do that. And so that has been what I've been really working on in the past few months. And that's what my goals are for the rest of this year, is to really help people be creators and be able to move on and make them realize that it can be elegant and easy, especially with my teams and my help.
Yeah, I love that. Elegant and easy. And as Abraham Hicks would say, go flow downstream. You don't need to paddle against the current.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
elegant and easy isn't mine either. That's from Bonnie Lonsbury, who's another law of attraction writer. But
Yeah.
it's all about the language you use too. It doesn't
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be difficult. It can all
Right.
be easy and elegant.
Easy and elegant, right. So I noticed on your website that you have, or your organization, Pardee, supports a foundation. I think it's called Life Changes Warriors Foundation.
Yeah, the Life Changer Warriors. And that's Tammy, who has been one of the most empowering and generous women for me to ever work with. And the fact that she shares her business, she shares items, she brings us on trips, but she's also shared her mentorship with me and her knowledge. And, it's really important for her to have an element where we are part of the community. We live here as well. So, it started off where, back in the day when we were a lot smaller, where we'd give, a percentage of our proceeds to a charity of our clients, choosing. And we love to give to the schools and to the local ones. But in the past few years, COVID has given us a little bit of a pause on it. But there's definitely, it's still in the works. It's actually more than just giving money. It's actually giving time and mentorship to some of these different organizations and helping people, big picture thinking. It's not giving somebody a fish, it's teaching them how to fish. And so helping them with that and with goal setting, and it's a really lovely foundation. We've worked so far with Harvest Home, which is a shelter for homeless pregnant women, and as help them get on their feet with once they have their baby. We do Venice Arts with kids that are at risk and arts in the community. And we have a few other charities that we've also, worked with a lot too.
Oh, well, that's so nice that you do that. And,
Yeah.
giving back is so very important. So,
Yes.
yeah. So also, I know that people are going to want to get in touch with you when they hear
Yes.
about your super skills in Pardee and It sounds like such a great organization, easy and elegant.
Yes.
How would they reach you?
I mean, I think the best would be probably email is always the best to get in touch with me. My team and I go through all of my emails and respond back to everybody. We try to do, a 20-minute rule if we can, if to respond back to people. And do you want me to say my email address? Or
Absolutely. Yeah, unless you don't want it out there, but yeah, that'd be great.
Everybody else knows it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people on their mailing list, which is fine. I like those. Kerry Ann at pardeeproperties.com.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And then the website must be pardeeproperties.com, correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you've been delightful. I thank you for sharing so many wonderful things today. And I know you're a true icon of real estate. I really appreciate you. Thank you
so much, Pardee. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.